Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 11th edition of the Men in Orange and Black with a guy who's floating around like a sturgeon. Who is, bam, right over there, Mr. Steve Murray. I am Matt Craig. Steve, now that you're out of the aquarium, how are you? What's going on?
Oh, I'm enjoying life after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. I'm hoping it slakes the bloodlust of a Philadelphia fan.
Not gonna lie. I mean, I've been on the Eagles high for at least 2 weeks. I mean, it's been 2 weeks since, right?
Oh yeah.
And it's like, oh my gosh, what a joyous, wonderful time.
And as I've said many times, it was so great to it not be a nail biter.
Yeah.
To be able to sit back in the third quarter and relax, like knowing the game was in hand, I could dig it.
It's kind of like that. Just really wonderful harp music going on in the background. It's like, you know what? I could just eat some nachos, drink a soda or beer if you're so inclined. You don't even have to worry anymore. Your team is up 34-0.
So this is what it's like to have a dominant team.
Exactly right. Oh my goodness. Well, since we're coming off that high, I guess we'll just launch right in to the first period here and talk about the Four Nations tournament that took place. Of course, Flyers were off the last two. They didn't have any games to play. It was all the focus was on this round robin Four Nations tournament in which Canada decided to steal one from the Americans at the end of the day, 3-2 in overtime with the final championship game there. I guess let's talk overall thoughts. Steve, I'll get your temperature take on that. What did you think of the tournament? And I understand you have some bones to pick. So, so why don't you go ahead and share them with us?
I'll be nice first.
Okay.
It was certainly more entertaining. I didn't watch much of it, but it was certainly more entertaining than I think or a lot of other people may have expected it to be.
Sure.
The players took it seriously. At least Canada and the U.S. players took it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I happened to catch the first game of Canada and the U.S. where there were 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. That's not something you would see in international, the Olympics.
Nope.
But it was certainly really cool and fun to watch that.
Yeah.
I kind of expected before it all started that this was just going to be sort of a glorified North America versus the world kind of thing, with the All-Star game when they used to do that scenario.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be 3 All-Star games and then an All-Star game final, but it turned out not to be. It was actually a fairly thoroughly well-played tournament.
Yeah.
With some serious intensity, which is great because it made the NBA All-Star game look like a joke, which it does anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Even more so. I mean, to the point where Rich Eisen was like, this is awesome. Why doesn't the NBA do this? From that perspective, it was certainly great. It was fun watch.
Mm-hmm.
Sucks that Canada won in the end because I was really hoping we would, but when you leave Connor McDavid all by himself in the slot, that's the kind of thing that's going to happen.
Didn't exactly turn out the way we wanted it to. I don't know who was responsible for that, but it was terrible.
Austin Matthews, I believe, had the coverage and then left it. But
that doesn't bode well for anything Toronto.
No. And you know what else I think we learned over the Four Nations thing? Jack Hughes may need some. He didn't get into the spotlight, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes. He may not be playoff ready. But in any event, and it actually, I'll continue to be positive. It couldn't really have worked out better for the Flyers than it did.
Yeah.
Sam Ersson got to go play with Sweden, actually played a game, got to practice, so he stayed in kind of regular shape, which meant
Yep.
he didn't get 2 weeks off. And as I've said before, he's the kind of guy who needs a rhythm to be good.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so it was nice to semi have him in a rhythm.
Yeah.
Travis Sanheim got to play for Canada and play alongside and learn from some of the best in
Mhm.
the game. Makar, Drew Doughty, uh, very good experience for him. It's, you know, if an all-star game, you go in there, you don't practice it, you're not going to learn anything from guys like that. But for
Sure.
this 2 week thing, you're playing meaningful, serious games. You have a couple of practices sprinkled in there. You're going to learn some things from those guys. So it
Heck
was
yeah.
good for Sanheim. And then Konechny was benched for the 2 most physical games, and he needed some rest. So that was a positive.
Got it all
development
worked
from
out.
my
Yeah.
perspective. So
Yeah.
for the Flyers, I think it worked out great.
Yeah.
Couldn't have
Exactly.
been any better.
Yeah.
However, the positives also are a negative, in my opinion, which is you're now seeing what happens when you do something like this, where it's intense. And you know, Matthew Tkachuk, there is concern out of Florida now
Yeah.
about whether he can play the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Charlie McAvoy had to go to the hospital for an infection. Who knows when he's going to be back for the Boston Bruins?
Yeah.
And there were a couple of other notable injuries coming out of the Four Nations tournament that
Yeah.
you wouldn't see in an all-star game or something where it's not amped up to that level of competition.
Yeah, for sure.
And couple that with the stupid schedule for the NHL we've had to deal with to make space for this.
Yeah.
It was a fun little thing to go through, but I really don't think you should do it again.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both remember, of course, like when they did the Olympics during the season, and they would have a 2-week break. I think it was like 2.5 weeks, maybe.
The Olympics is a little bit different because
Yeah.
that is the premier international competition. That's goes back for over 100 years.
Yeah,
at
for
this
sure.
point.
Yeah.
That's a huge honor. This
Mhm.
was something the NHL just kind of made up and made a little trophy. And
Yeah, which looked
It's-
kind of cheap, didn't it? I mean, when you saw the Four Nations, I guess, championship trophy, I guess, or something like that, it looked like something came out of like some rinky-dink store, and it's like, here you go. Here's your participation trophy. I'll get it out.
it certainly is not a Stanley Cup.
It is not. No.
No.
But nothing is ever like the Stanley Cup, of course. That's like one of the greatest professional trophies in all of sport. You know, their rival, the Vince Lombardi. I mean, comparing the two trophies, it's not even close. You know, that kind of a deal. But yeah, I would tend to agree. I think there is, you know, with the Four Nations, it was very much an experimental tournament, no question. But what the NHL did is that they absolutely capitalized, to your point, on the terrible, I mean, it was a god awful NBA All-Star game.
Oh, yeah.
Awful. They did their own, I guess you could say they did their own tournament, but nobody was playing. It was clear the players did not want to be there. And yet,
Well, LeBron showed up and was like, nah.
Which
didn't even have the decency to like, I'm not going to go here, have my spot. It was, I'm going to go there, and then I'm just going to not play.
Got to just like kind of work out and say,
space.
Yeah, exactly. You're wasting a roster spot, and it's like, okay, you know, whatever. And so like, I honestly, I think that's why PK Subban was all hot and bothered under the collar. You know, if you watch him on ESPN, he was like, listen, like, you play hockey, this is like for pride. This is like, there is no half-assing on the ice. And he's exactly right. I mean, if you're half-assing on the ice, you're not going to do well at all. You will be exposed out there. But in basketball, you could just walk up and down the court and no one really cares because you're walking up and walking back.
He's just going to jack up a 3-point shot anyway. So
yeah.
Who cares where it is?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like you have to really tough it out, grind it out in order to get goals and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, that's why it is the best sport in the world. Not going to lie.
But you're right. They capitalize on the success. And I think that's unfortunately going to be to its detriment because now they're going to want to do it again.
Yeah.
Next year is the Olympics because it's 26.
26, yeah.
Is the Olympics, so that they can't do it next season. But the season after that, who knows?
Yeah.
Say, oh, we got 9 million viewers for the championship. We got to do it again.
The pressure is going to be on.
Matthew Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk's probably may miss the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's going to be a problem. But,
that might be a detriment to Florida. Yeah. So, I mean, there's pluses and minuses. So I agree. But, I mean, we kind of came out of there unscathed. To your point, you're right. I mean, Konechny didn't play much. Eriksson only played the one game. Ristolainen was hurt and didn't play in the tournament. So, I mean, we dodged a couple of bullets there, to be perfectly honest. The only one that really got some significant playing time was Travis Sanheim. And, but yeah, even after that, it was like, okay, well, if you're only coming out of there with Sanheim and he was relatively healthy, it's like, okay, we'll take it. Not going to complain in that regard. But yeah, if you're like Florida, you're kicking yourself. It's like, dude, we just lost like one of our best forwards. If you're Boston, we just lost one of our best defensemen. Yep. It sucks to be both of them. Just saying. But at the same time, it's like, this is the risk you run a little bit. So it's a catch-all. It's a catch-22, that's for sure. But yeah, that's just some of our thoughts on the Four Nations. I thought it was a decent tournament, to be perfectly honest. I think the perfectly placed. I think the space in between games is a little much. I think you probably could have done one game. You had two games. I don't know how you could have rescheduled it if there was a way to reschedule it to make it like a week and a half long as opposed to 2 weeks. But to each his own. It was a decent tournament. That kind of a deal. So, sure, it is what it is. But then, of course, we come back off that tournament, and the Flyers played the Edmonton Oilers, and I was a little worried about this game going in, and oh my. Matvei Michkov seems to own the Edmonton Oilers in his career now, his young career. I think he scored twice in this. Yeah, he did. He scored twice?
No, he had 3 points, 1 goal, 2 assists.
Thank you. Yeah, he had two in the earlier. That's right. Yeah, he had 2 in the earlier. But yeah, 3 goals in 2 games. For Matvei against Edmonton, and God blitzed the Edmonton Oilers 6-3, even coming off of a basically giving up 2 goals in the first. It was 2-1, but dominated. Owen Tippett showing his speed again along the far blue line, or along the far boards, I should say.
And he did what I said he needs to do. He dipped that shoulder and muscled his way to the front of the net instead of taking an outside shot. He got to the net.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful goal.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful goal. And Matvei also seeing Sean Couturier along the far post with another seeing eye pass. When everybody thought he was going to shoot it, to be perfectly honest, I think he was going to let it go, but he spots Couturier wide open on the far post, knocks it in. Very impressive win.
Goal.
Yes, we should mention that. Absolutely. 200 goals for the team captain there. That's awesome. He's just knocking down all the milestones in his career this season. So doing very, very well. Thoughts there on the game, Steve, with against Edmonton? This is a surprise win coming off the break.
Yeah. Connor McDavid, I barely heard his name during the entire broadcast, which was a shocker.
Yeah.
But Draisaitl was certainly all over the place, and we were able to, for the most part, keep him in check.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a really good game. Not too much to complain about.
Yeah.
Got a power play goal out of it.
Yeah.
It's impressive what they did. I mean, who knows what ultimately this is going to lead to, but it was great. We talked about, and everybody's kind of talked about Michkov getting a rest. He got his rest, and look what came of it.
Yeah.
So he looks fresh.
Yeah.
Tippett back from injury looks fresh. We got a bunch of guys back from injury. Paling was back. You had Zamula back.
Ristolainen was back.
Ristolainen was back.
Yep.
Although I guess he did miss a game or two.
I think he did. Yeah, prior to the break.
Yeah. All right, so he was back. I mean, we had our full squad for the most part, I think.
Oh, yeah.
For that game, and they looked good.
Yeah.
Now they're going to hit another stretch here coming up.
Yeah, we'll definitely
playing
preview
every
that.
other night.
Yeah,
So
and it's
we'll see
not
how
going to
long
be
we can
easy.
sustain
This
it.
is going to be a tough next slate of games coming up. We'll preview that in period 3. But for now, let's take a look at the glance here, where we find ourselves. And as you can see, we're 1 game under Hockey 500 at 57 points, 25, 26, and 7. The good news is we're ahead of the Pittsburgh Penguins as of the time of this recording. I guess the bad news is we're ahead of the Pittsburgh Penguins at the time of this recording. We're 7th in the division, but not far off. We'll take a look at that the standings board. But Steve, your initial thoughts here as we look at the overall stats. We have a continuing improving power play here, which is a really good sign.
We went 1 for 2 against Edmonton, so that bumped us a whole half percentage point.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take that.
And they killed the one pass. That was a nice thing. They kept out of the box against the Oilers, so they only had to defend 1 power play.
That and that power play is lethal, I believe. That's like in the 30s, right? I think something like that.
I'm sure it is. I think they said it was 6th in the league as of the game time.
But yikes.
Yeah, it was definitely a power play you didn't want to give opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And they didn't, which was good.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we'll turn the page to the wildcard standings here. And, we still find ourselves with a mess of teams. Again, though, we're only 5 points out of the playoffs, essentially. But look at the number of teams here that we have to hurdle. We've got 5 in front of us just before we have to then get to one of the 2 wildcard spots, Steve.
So these standings are current as of the end of gameplay on February 22nd, which means this is order-wise is pretty much the same order as it was our last episode. Only 1 game has been basically played for all of these teams. But it's even more of a mess than it was because you got both teams that are in the wild card are at 62. The Blue Jackets are also at 62 and are on the outside looking in. And the Bruins are only 1 point away. And then the Rangers are as of like 4. And then you got 3 teams with 57 points. You got the Penguins at 55.
And then you have the Sabres like way down.
Yeah, the Sabres. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams vying for 2 spots within a total of 7 points.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is insane. And it just goes to show you that all of a sudden, if any one of these teams can get hot at the right time, that's why March is going to be so crucial for the Flyers. How well, and a majority of these games in March are going to be played at the Wells Fargo Center. That's pretty much like a big bonus there heading into the month. As we'll take a look. Again, we'll preview that in period 3, but we got a lot of work to do, and a lot of teams hurdle. And I know in our previous episode, Steve, we were each not very confident in the playoff positioning, I guess you could say, of the Flyers. Do you think they could make the run, make it in, all that kind of stuff? And I don't know. I'm not very confident.
Yeah,
but
I still think you got too many teams to jump at this point.
Yeah.
You could see a couple of them. You're probably going to play a lot of these teams too, is my recollection.
Yeah.
At some point.
Boston, we will not. Boston, we're done with. The Rangers, I know we do have to play one more time. I think we do have to play the Islanders one more time, Canadians as well. We could distance ourselves with the Penguins with the home series that'll come up this week. We got the Sabres on the schedule. I don't know about the Blue Jackets. I think we play the Senators once. I think we are doing the Blue Jackets too. Yeah. But I think we also play Ottawa one more time as well in April or something like that. Where it
I think the more interesting thing about this is there's not going to be too many teams that are selling.
Yeah.
At the deadline.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a seller's market because there's going to be a lot of teams trying to buy. If the Flyers want to ship somebody else out, I think you can get the price up a little bit.
You might.
There's not going to be a lot of stuff available with teams within this kind of striking distance.
Yeah.
Of the wild card because they're going to think, hey, we've got a shot. They're going to want to hold on to particular assets.
Trade deadline too is I think beginning part of March. I want to say it's the 7th. 6th or 7th?
Something tells me it's the 7th or the 8th.
8th or something like that. Yeah. So it's like about a week and a half away. So I mean, Not much was done during the Four Nations tournament. I didn't see much in the way of any moves made by the Flyers, if any. So it really is going to come down. I think most of these teams here, with it being so close, I don't foresee anybody, unless someone really starts to dip, like they go on a 5-game losing streak, and it's like, you know what? Okay, we're done. We're not even going to make a chance. Not going to make a run for it. Maybe you'll see a move at the very last minute.
I'm getting the feeling the Penguins may be sellers.
I think so too.
Because what's not accounted for in the standing board, the Rangers beat them today, Sunday. So they are another loss in their loss column.
I mean, that's massive for them. And now it's like, then we have our home and home. So we could really distance ourselves away from our hated cross-town, cross-country rival there. Cross-state rival.
Cross-state. Cross-country now. There's rumors, too, that the Bruins may actually look at selling, even though they're only a point out. I think they realize they may be in a backslide here and may need to kind of retool. So
maybe there's a chance. Well. Yeah, maybe there's a shot. You never know. But
never know.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right, my dud for the week. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Wait a minute. There is no dud for the week. Well, it's not an April Fool's joke, but at least for right now, we don't have any studs and duds for any of the 2 weeks. I guess you could say the dud was Charlie McAvoy for getting hospitalized like a punk-ass kid. No, kidding.
That's harsh, man.
That is harsh. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. You're the one that said that he's got a punchable face, so I'm not.
Yeah, but I didn't mean send him to the hospital. Damn.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh, gosh. All right. I guess that's it. That's done. Anyway, no kidding. Why don't we just take a look? Since we have got an open second period and we have no games really outside of the Edmonton game, there really wasn't that much to really discuss or talk about in terms of studs and duds as we do that over a 2
you got plenty of studs out of that game.
We sure did. Yeah, absolutely. Not much in the way of duds, thank God. Why don't we take a look at some of the uniform concepts? I found this to be a little bit interesting as I was looking around Instagram and the internet world. Some people have been somewhat a little creative with the Flyers and thinking about ways to either improve the current home jersey, as you see that I'm wearing currently right now, or maybe not so much. So we take a look here at one uniforms concept, Steve, with the Flyers. Looks like you have your orange but black shoulders on the top, and it looks like you've got the Liberty Bell essentially as shoulder patches over the top with numbers, and then in white with the black tackle twill stitching, I might add there. And then on the back, tackle twill stitching. I love that one. Whenever I saw that back in the 80s, 90s, are you kidding me? That was the greatest thing. It's like,
tackle twill.
Ooh, that sounds awesome. And then on the backside, you can see with the Couturier there, the orange background, you have white lettering and white numbers. It looks like a kind of towards the bottom of the jersey, you got black with the white stripes at the bottom. Overall impressions of this uniform concept. Just looking at it here, Steve, is there...
Well, before I comment on that.
Yeah.
Before I comment on that, I'll talk about your home jersey.
Yeah.
And the way to improve that is to fix the sleeve numbers, and it'll be perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so this one, I don't hate it.
I don't either. I don't either.
Ditch the shoulder patches. That's just dumb.
I don't quite understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the Liberty Bell, it looks like you've got cross.
Is that what that is?
Looks like a hockey sticks going across the Liberty Bell, which I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
Because the Liberty Bell doesn't have multiple cracks; it just has the one big one. So that's a little weird.
Yeah. So ditch that.
Yeah.
The color I like, and this is the problem I have with the current home jerseys, on the sleeve, it's got the number outlined so it stands out more. I don't like the single color numbers. I like, an outline around the number. And
You got the lettering on the back, which I like. I like the white.
Lettering on the back is fine.
Yeah, pops more, I think.
Maybe get rid of that little thin white stripe below the black shoulder.
Okay.
Just have the black go into the orange.
Yeah, you can see it like kind of like right along here.
Yeah. The white collar, I think, works nicely. But
yeah, I agree.
Underneath it, I don't think is.
It's almost like it's too much white, I guess you could say, and it doesn't.
Yeah, because look at the sleeve on the shoulder; it doesn't have it on the sleeve.
Yeah,
just do that all the way around. Ditch the patch, and yeah, I think that could work.
Yeah, the socks look pretty good too. I mean, you got orange, the black, and the white. I mean, it looks pretty good there. I mean, maybe you could argue you get a black stripe kind of towards the bottom here, I guess you could say. But I mean, that's like
too much. That's too much.
That might be too much. Yeah, too.
Yeah.
You probably would have to thin that up maybe a little bit in order to pull that off.
Yeah.
But that's at least one uniform concept. That's a pretty good idea. Let's take a look at another.
That one's not bad. I've seen crap. That's not crap.
I don't know what to make of all of these jersey sets here. I think there is way too much. It's way too busy.
Okay, bottom right is just straight out. That's
just terrible. Really bad. There's no cream in any of that.
Color it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Maybe there's a concept for a Winter Classic something or other, but that's not the Winter Classic jersey they had in 2012 was perfect.
Yes.
It was an absolutely perfect jersey. I don't.
The rest of them.
It has a little 90s feel, I think.
It does.
You got the curves and all that kind of stuff, which they had in those old jerseys. But I think what's throwing it off is that, for instance, if you look at the white, the upper right corner here, you've got black with orange. And that just, to me,
I don't hate that.
No, but it's weird looking, isn't it? I mean, it's just not.
It's unusual, but I don't hate it. It's not bad. I'm looking at these. I think my only issue is the sleeve numbers.
Yeah. There's no white to them. Like there's no white color.
Invert it. So the bottom left, right? The black jersey.
Yeah.
Make the numbers white with black trim.
Yeah.
And on the top right with the white jersey, make the numbers white with orange trim.
Yeah.
And I think you've got something.
This, I think, too, in the upper left. I mean, it's almost like there's too much orange because of the numbers. I think to your point,
change the numbers to
those numbers to white with your orange trim, maybe.
Orange trim,
something like this.
So reverse the sleeve colors on everything and burn the one in the bottom.
Yeah,
right.
this I don't get any, like, this looks like it's a command sergeant major in the military. It's like I don't quite understand what's going on there. It's really weird. Really bizarre. I do like, though, the cream on the back of the Flyers logo. I like that idea. It gives a little bit different than just your solid white. So I like that.
You know, the 2012 Winter Classic jersey, I think, was kind of creamy. It wasn't pure white.
Wasn't a pure white.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
It's the sleeve.
The sleeves are
bottom. It's like, oh, I'm from the 1920s. What? I just no. It
does look like a command sergeant major's uniform. I'm not going to lie. I mean, there are so many stripes on this thing. I can't even. I mean, it's ridiculous.
You take that one. So without shoulder coloring, which if I block out, but it's actually not bad.
Yeah.
So maybe you keep the orange going and then turn it to black at a certain point with maybe a single cream thin line.
Yeah. Rather than the cream boldness that's in there.
Yeah.
You're right. I agree. I think that's we're going to go like, whoa, what the heck's going on here? Yeah,
and
I
same
agree.
thing with the bottom. Just do like a thin cream line and then black to the edge of the sweater. And I think it would be fine.
Not over the top. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
All right. And so here, and this is the one I found on Instagram. I'll get rid of the other screen there. This is someone who created brand new ones for your road, your home, and your alternate in the middle. So from left to right, you got your away, your alternate, and your home jerseys. So these I found very, very interesting. You got a little 90s color because essential or 90s design, I should say. You've
It's
got
bright orange, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But here, you've got an interesting kind of sleeve going on here in the middle, kind of right where the Flyers logo is. I think it really looks sharp on the white home jersey or the white away jersey. I kind of like that white away. I don't know. I just something about it. Just it's like, huh. And you have the black is a little higher up the sleeves. I think that could probably be a little bit lower. I don't know. But I like the fact that there's like an orange stripe there in the middle. I think that pops a little bit more. I kind of like that idea. And he carries that all the way straight through. You see with the alternate ones. And then the home, I kind of like it, but I'm not in love with it. It's the way I look at it. What do you think here, looking at these uniform concepts, Steve?
Well, they have the sleeve numbers right colored.
Yes. They've got the tackle twill lettering there, I'll tell you. But the one thing that they don't have is the backside, and I would love to see the backside of these with the the name and the number on the back.
I don't like the shoulders.
Okay.
This.
Yeah.
Like it's awkward.
Okay.
It comes down.
It's like it's cut off.
It's too low.
Probably. Yeah.
And the roundedness doesn't. I think it's too close to the numbers on the sleeve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you would do to maybe even try and fix that. Maybe if you cut that off at the shoulder blades, like cut it off, like maybe if you're talking about like maybe about right there.
Well, if you could on the home jersey, the orange one, if you see on the right shoulder, you can kind of see it. No, the right.
The right shoulder, yeah.
His right shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can kind of see it.
Kind of like right there. Yeah.
I wonder if you cut it off there, if it would look a little better.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So the orange and the white ones, other than the shoulders, I think look pretty good. The black one, I feel like there's too much black.
Okay. Or do you think the orange and the white on the sleeves is throwing you off? It throws me off a little bit. I think it's like you have an all black jersey, and I'm trying to remember like when they did the first black alternates. Yeah, the Keith Primo one. Yeah.
Well, so you could see there.
Yep.
The shoulder comes all the way down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas his concept would cut off at the top there, and you'd have like the 25. So Primo would have that like kind of. Yeah, I mean, I could see it. It would be something where along the lines of like Primo's shoulder would be here, and then you'd have like the black going all the way straight down. But yeah, it's kind of maybe it is the black. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is just the solid black that's throwing everything off. I don't know.
And the orange at the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like maybe there should be some white there too.
Yeah. Yeah, there certainly wasn't one in the Primo jersey at all.
No,
not that I remember. That was straight black all the way straight down. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only one I have up. Yeah, that was straight black all the way down to the edge.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna, and I know it'll make it different than the other two if you were to do that, but there's just certain things that don't look right if you carry it across. The white and the orange one, again, other than the shoulders, I think are fine. Maybe lower the sleeve numbers a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be kind of even between the shoulder and the stripes. But the black one, just something's off about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are some of our ideas of the concept. It's kind of interesting. Some people will go out there and, let's redesign this. Let's redesign that. Of course, this is also the best hockey photo I've ever made. Ha ha ha. Not gonna lie.
But that was the bra jersey. That's not a good one.
Well, yeah, but that was also their 2010 Stanley Cup final jersey too. So it was.
The home jersey was not though.
It was not though. No.
The home jersey was not a bra.
It was not. That's right.
I realize we've talked about it on our other podcast, but for those who only know us from Men in Orange and Black, when I say the bra jersey, the jersey, when did they come out? Like,
Oh, I think that was 2008, 09. Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
When they got those tight-fitting jerseys coming out of the lockout, and the shoulder was designed so like the white on the away jersey came to a point right around the kind of the neck area, and would grow out. It looked like from a certain angle like you're wearing a sports bra. I hated those jerseys.
Yeah,
so hideous.
They were so bad. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it.
I mean, just give me that.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
You know they're going to change it again in the next.
Or that.
Yeah. You know they're going to change it back again. I would imagine probably in the next 5 to 6 years. It's always going to be that way for a while. As long as they don't change the logo, that's all I care about.
Money talks.
Money does talk all the time. Absolutely. Hey, speaking of money and speaking of talking, let's take a look at the schedule. I don't know what money has to do with it. But anyway.
What does that have to do with money?
I don't know. It's 9:15 in the night, and I'm getting a little tired, and that's okay. I'm running on fumes, and that's fine. But
stop whining.
Stop whining. Stop whining. Let's take a look at the schedule here, Steve. The next 2 weeks. Rolling on in, we got Pittsburgh back to back, and that'll be it for the Pens after the home and away series. Thank God. But this time we do have to face Crosby, and we do have to face Malkin, unlike the last game we played against them. Your initial thoughts, sir, on this home and home series to close out with the Penguins?
Well, here's your chance to bury them. That would be fun to kind of put some distance between us and them, and really
Tiger into
force Kyle Dubas to sell at the trade deadline again. Because he ditched Jake Gensel last year, so I'm curious to see who, if anyone, he would move this time.
He's remaking the Pens in his own twisted image.
And they got shellacked by the Capitals. Yesterday.
Yeah. 8-2, I think it was, wasn't it?
8-2. Yeah, it was either 8-2 or 8-3.
3 or something like that.
The Caps put up an 8 spot, and Ovechkin didn't have any of the goals. So that was quite an interesting
go figure
result. There.
I think today, though, they played, speaking of the Caps, I think they did play Edmonton, and Ovechkin had a hat trick. I think he's like less than 20 goals away. Geez. Yeah. I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to do it this end of this year. I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be the case, but yeah.
Yeah, but the Penguins, Kyle Dubas is remaking them in his image, which is no defense.
Yeah. I love
Certainly
it.
Succeeded at that. So
yeah.
Hopefully we could take advantage.
Oh, yeah.
They are slipping. And we beat them before the break. We won yesterday against Edmonton after the break, so we've kind of got an upward.
Yeah, got a good momentum going on here. Yeah, let's see what we can do.
Like to pound them down a little bit.
Absolutely, sleep with one eye open, bird. You never know what might happen. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what's going on over there? Anyway, then we face off against Connor Hellebuck and the Winnipeg Jets for the first time. And we play them twice in 6 days. We'll get to that. But the opener is in Winnipeg, Saturday the 1st, 7 o'clock. Steve, Winnipeg has had a legit year. They could score. They've got one of the best goaltenders in the world. This is going to be a tough one. I think this is going to be probably the toughest game of the season, to be perfectly honest. Going there to start. Your thoughts on the Winnipeg Jets and their remarkable season, because they've had a really good year the entire year.
They've had a very good year. They are first in the league in goals for and first in the league in goals against.
Yeah.
So
they're pulling the Philadelphia Eagles is what they're doing.
They're going to score a lot on you, and you're not going to score a lot on them.
Yeah.
And they're currently on a 9-game winning streak, which I believe is, if I heard correctly, NHL this morning, that is a team record for them.
That's just nuts.
They got off to something ridiculous, like 15-1 or something.
Yeah. And they've only maintained that pace. I mean, they have not stopped that pace at all. Minnesota was kind of creeping up on them, but then they just distanced themselves away from Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Dallas too.
So you mentioned Hellebuck, and Hellebuck leads the league in save percentage and goals against average. So you're probably going to play him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And Kyle Connor is their top scorer with 70 points in 57 games. Although he's another one I kind of question. This whole team actually is one where you question whether they can survive playoff hockey.
That's the biggest question with them. You're right. I mean, and that has been their rub, is like they do great regular seasons, or they have really good regular seasons, but yet when they get into like a 7-game series, that's where they really struggle to score goals. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a tough challenge though, regardless. I mean,
and by the way, who thought it was a good idea to have a 2-game road trip where the first game's in Pittsburgh and then you have to go to Winnipeg
and then
2 days later?
Crazy.
Like who came up with this schedule?
Yeah.
You're fired.
Yeah. Four nations. Anyway, 2 days.
You couldn't have like scheduled Winnipeg when we were already out in like Minnesota or, out west somewhere.
Yeah.
That whole Colorado, Utah, we couldn't play Winnipeg.
Couldn't come back to them. No, we had to basically go to Pittsburgh and then whoop, right over the Winnipeg. Get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just a hop, skip, and a jump.
It's right down the road. Yeah, right. But yeah.
At least they were nice enough to give us 2 days off after that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go screw yourself.
Speaking of, after those 2 days off, we face Joel Farabee and Morgan Frost and the gang from Calgary. The Calgary Flames come calling. Recall way back in October when we first played them, they killed us out there. And that was, of course, coming off a back-to-back against Vancouver, where we literally had no chance because we had to hop a plane, fly into Calgary, get into the hotel room, sleep for maybe about 90 minutes, go to the morning skate, sleep again, and then play a hockey game. And they killed us. They absolutely killed us. Steve, this is post-trade, of course. We got Kuzmenko and Pelletier, and they have Morgan Frost and Joel Farabee. Speaking of which, do you have any stats on Farabee and Frost and how they're doing?
So Frost has 2 goals in 5 games.
Okay.
Joel, is -2.
Oh.
And no assists.
What a shock.
And four penalty minutes, which is even probably the most bizarre stat out of all of that. And then Joel Farabee has 1 goal in 5 games played, -3, no penalty minutes.
Huh. Doesn't look like it's working out for him. Well, they got 3 goals of the 2 of them so far, so
that's not terrible.
Not terrible,
games, but
yeah,
they are Calgary. I mean, 30th in the league in goals for. So they need all the help they can get, and
yeah,
they've also lost 4 of the last 5 as of last night's action.
Yeah, and they're on the outside looking in. I think they're in the Western Conference. They're 5th place in the Pacific Division. Just happened to look over my shoulder, and there they are, 5th place.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan Huberdeau is their leading scorer. He has 41 points in 55 games. That's not going to get it done.
No. Yeah. Of course, they've really been struggling trying to trade, and I think they sent I think it was Matt Tkachuk to Florida, and Tkachuk has only thrived in Florida, and Calgary's kind of just left kind of holding the bag, going, oh my gosh. They also lost Johnny Gaudreau. May he rest forever in peace. So yeah, they've been struggling. They've been they had a white hot start to begin the season. Now they've kind of come back down to earth a little bit. I think they are who we thought they were at the beginning of the season. It's just all of a sudden it was at the beginning of the year, and oh my gosh, they're scoring all these goals. They're playing good defense, and now they're really not.
Yeah.
So yeah, you then face Winnipeg again, second time
at home.
Yeah, but this time at home. We're not going to talk about them because we already talked about them. Then you've got the Seattle Kraken. Yeah, they kind of stink. The Seattle Kraken this year, even though they beat us in their building in October.
Yeah.
Payback on this agenda there, Steve. What do you think there with the Seattle Kraken?
I was looking at their stats. I guess he's their number one goalie, Joey Decord. Has 37 games started. He's 20-14-3. He's got a .917 save percentage and 245 goals against.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
That's not bad.
Philip Grubauer, their other goalie, has an .886 save percentage and a .383 GAA. So
that's not so good.
Let me guess who you want to face out of that group.
Give me Philip Grubauer right now.
Right. We'll see who was in net when they come to town. But I don't know. If you want to make the playoffs, you got to beat them.
Yeah,
you have to.
That's like a must win. I can't believe this is like an ABC ESPN game. Like what's going on there? Come on. I don't know.
Seattle and Philadelphia, natural rivals. They did beat Florida last night, though.
Okay,
just 2-1.
All right.
But remember, no Matt Tkachuk.
But no Matt Tkachuk, and exactly. Yeah. So, yeah,
you got to win that one, boys.
Yeah, this is a must-win.
Critical.
Because the next night you have the New Jersey Devils, and we are including that Sunday game because Steve and I will likely be recording the next episode of Men in Orange and Black on the 9th. But anyway, we threw in the Devils, much to a lot of people's chagrin. Oh, we should record. No, we should. We should include it in there. Got the Devils, I believe, for the last time this season. Would be the last time.
This is the fourth time.
Fourth time, yeah.
Yeah.
So this would be the final game against the Devils. Last time wasn't so good. Even though we beat them in the home and home series, we beat them in the first game 4-2. They killed us 5-0 and injured a lot of our players. There might be a little bit of a payback here, but we're coming off a back-to-back, coming off of the Seattle game. So thoughts there on New Jersey, Steve?
They're a little bit surprising to me because they're kind of middle of the pack for offense, but their goals against is really good. 5th, although Markstrom is still on IR, and I think will be for still some more time, so he's probably going to miss that game.
So it's probably going to be Jake Allen in net then, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And we've had mixed results against him this season.
So yeah.
That'll be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah.
Hughes and Bratt, 67 and 66 points. After that is a huge drop-off. Heischier next with 43.
That's amazing. Wow.
So you know who you have to stop.
And
as we saw from Four Nations, just start throwing bodies around and Jack Hughes might disappear.
Yeah.
So do that.
Maybe get a little Nick Delorier action in there, kind of beat them up a little bit, on the way out the door. But yeah, look at the schedule here. I think there are some winnable games. I'm counting 4. I'm counting the 2 Pittsburgh, Calgary, and Seattle. Yeah. The tough ones are going to be Winnipeg, New Jersey. What do you think there, bud?
So, yeah, if you still want to have hope in 2 weeks of making the playoffs, you got to bury Pittsburgh both games. You got to win both of those in regulation.
Yeah. Yep.
Not that getting a loser point was going to help Pittsburgh at this point, but
yeah.
You definitely have to beat Calgary.
You got to beat Seattle.
You got to win those. So you need 8 points at minimum. And I think you're going to have to steal at least 2 more points out of those 3 other games.
So that would put it at like maybe 10 out of the 12 games. Yeah. I mean, out of the 7 games here. So 12. Yeah. So that, then that would be good out of a possible 14 points. If you get 12, that's a good run right there. But yeah, the confidence level though, can they do it? That's the big question. And you've got momentum. Win against Edmonton. You had the win against Pittsburgh prior to the Four Nations break. So, and you got the Penguins twice, which I think this team is capable of beating them.
Absolutely.
I really do believe that. If you could get, let's just say they go to Winnipeg, they get into overtime. Perfectly fine with that. They beat Calgary. The Winnipeg game at home is going to be the tough one, but then you got Seattle and New Jersey. You got Seattle 2 points, and then maybe you get a point out of the New Jersey game, or you get a point out of that Winnipeg home game. Hey, who the heck knows? There's a chance there. You could rocket right up the standings. That would put us at what?
You could, but looking at this again, the problem with the schedule is you're not really playing anyone of consequence. This is a lot of Western Conference.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's below you, and you're not really chasing the Devils because they're not in the wild card hunt.
Yeah.
They're top 3.
Yeah.
So you're not playing anyone that you need to step over.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have any 4-point games in this little stretch here. So
Yeah.
you got to just pile up points any way you can.
Yeah.
Because who knows how these other teams are going to do coming out of the break. You got to think everybody's kind of fresh coming out of the break, except for kind of injuries like Kachuk. But again, we're not chasing Florida.
No.
Boston, yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be tight. It's going to be really, really tight. But they got as good a shot as any. I think this is a very favorable schedule. Very favorable schedule coming off the break.
And I disagree with you. I think the game in Winnipeg is the tougher one because of the travel. I think the one at home is, especially also because you can match up.
I will grant you that point. And on that note, my friends, that ends episode number 11 of the Men in Orange and Black. Hey,
Konechny episode.
It is the Konechny episode. You're right. Oh my gosh. We talked about that number all the time, and we just barely mentioned Travis Konechny. How about that? But now it's great. How about you do us a favor? Hit like, share, and subscribe for us. That would really, really appreciate it. I think we're up to like 14 subscribers, so we're getting there.
Like, share, and subscribe, or I will punch you.
Yeah, or Steve will come over to your house and punch you. You know, that kind of a deal. Or one of us will. Or maybe I won't.
Chuck style.
We really appreciate it. For Steve, I'm Matt. Let's go, Flyers.